Hey, what's up ladies and gents, SpoonyPizzas here, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the player transfers nominating contract pack. So I'm going to start in the top left hand corner, Rudiger. Now he is a destroyer for a defender. I'm not really a big fan of this role. I find that they do tend to go walkabouts as a centre back. So, and most of his, he's got good overall for 84, but most of those points are in aggression, which isn't really a particularly useful stat. I'd rather much have either, defensive awareness is obviously the most important for defending. Then comes defensive engagement, then comes tackling, and then obviously you need to think about the speed and acceleration because, one of your defenders has to be around, 69 acceleration is like the bare minimum if you want a quick centre back with 72 speed. So if you've got that, then you're going to catch most strikers, to be honest. And, he has got a possession-based game, but personally, with that destroyer role, I would not recommend him, but he is pretty good. He's got interception, aerial superiority, which is very, very useful for clearing the box. He hasn't got acrobatic clearing, which is a sort of downside of him, but he has got 23 levels to train. But for me, I think I would pass on him. Raheem Sterling, very, very flexible in terms of his positioning, can play either wing, and we're talking about left midfield, right midfield, left wing forward, right wing forward, and even centre forward if necessary. And for me, he is one of the real top signings in this pack, to be honest. He's got great stats all over the board. You wouldn't really need to touch his speed and acceleration all too much, but you could probably put 4 points into that for training, as well as his balance and his acceleration. And then what I would suggest working on is his ball control, dribbling, tight possession, boosting all that. Then you want some end product, so focus some points on the low passing and or finishing. But I would choose one or the other. Depends what you want him to do. That is probably the best way to go at training him. Just take a look at his player skills. Obviously, the first time shot is very useful as an attacking player. He's got scissor feint, which is probably the other one. It's quite useful. Soul control. Let's not take, you got to take into that consideration that finesse dribbling. That really does help with finesse dribbling, especially with the latest update version 2.0. That does seem to be having a big impact as well. So there is Raheem Sterling. Kalvin Phillips, who's now moved to Manchester City. This is another very good signing. Why? Because he's got 30 levels, the highest in this pack for training. So you can assign a lot of points to this guy and basically make him how you want to have him. How do you want him? Do you want him to be more defensive focused? Do you want to boost his tight possession and his ball control? You could boost all those. Maybe boost his speed and acceleration just a little bit. It's not too important in that midfield area, to be honest. He's got great stamina as it is already. So personally, I would focus most of my points on the defensive side of things and then boost his tight possession, ball control. Because if you know what I'm like, I love having stats in those sort of areas if you want to dictate the play in that midfield area. So a very, very good signing this. Just taking a look at his player skills. Interceptions, obviously a key one. Fighting spirit as well. Man marking, if you want to assign him to man mark, so on. One touch pass, very, very important in my opinion. And he's obviously got weighted pass as well, which is great for, playing balls over the top to fast strikers, especially if you're using a quick counter style. So a very, very nice signing, but he also suits, his game is all about possession, and with one touch passing and, like I said, boost that type possession, ball control, and he's going to slot right in. Witzel's next, and then after, with this player being a 5-star signing as well as Kalvin Phillips, I cannot recommend this guy because he's just not as good, and he's also 5 stars. But if you have got long ball counter, that is one reason you might think about opting for this guy. But think about how many levels that Kalvin Phillips has got, 30 compared to this guy's 24. So for me, it's a no-brainer, and I probably wouldn't consider this guy. But just looking at his player skills, he has got one touch pass, interception, and blocker, and aerial superiority. Now, blocker and interception, since the latest update, aren't as useful or as important as they perhaps were before. Players seem to do a fine job blocking passing lanes, providing you're in the way, providing you're holding the matchup button. So you probably don't need those as much. Aerial superiority is very nice in that midfield area though, and he is pretty tall as well at 186 centimeters, so something to think about there. Skamaka for West Ham, so he obviously favours the long ball counter style, but at 5 stars as a target man, he's pretty hard to recommend. He's not that bad. He's got okay stats, but there's probably better players that you could probably sign with the 5-star rating cards. Wijndal from Ajax, one of the top left backs that you can probably get right now. You know, just look at those lofted passes and low pass stats, and he's got 26 levels for training, and his, you know, he can do long ball counter or possession, but you can obviously boost those quite easily. Decent acceleration and speed, but obviously it's all about lofted pass and curling with this guy, and that's what you want to focus on. He's going to have pinpoint crossing along with one-touch passing, through passing, weighted passing, and captaincy. Those are really important to have. So absolute no-brainer for a 4-star card. This is an easy recommendation. Another recommendation for 4 stars is this chap here, Mendes. Really good stats across the board. And you know, a lot of people look at the speed and acceleration, but that really isn't important, especially when you have like high ball control type possession for this 4-star rated player. You've got 25 levels of training, and you could really develop him into something very nice. You could probably just make sure you keep that separation between acceleration and speed. Make sure your acceleration is higher. Probably you want to go 4 points difference, and I think you're going to feel that he's really good. I would say perhaps try and boost the acceleration to maybe 80 and have the speed at 76 or 74, somewhere around there. And just boost the rest of the stats in ball control, dribbling, passing, and tight possession. Boost those up. And I think you're going to have a very tidy player here. The only downside to him is his balance is 65. That is kind of low. So by boosting that, I think you boost your acceleration as well. So just take that into consideration. But that was definitely I would say a half recommendation if you aren't going to opt for Wijnaldum as a 4-star player card. Onana, very solid goalkeeper. Another recommendation, quite easy to, you know, if you're struggling for a goalkeeper, then this is quite an easy recommendation. 79 for goalkeeper awareness, 77 for goalkeeper reflexes. Those are the two most important. And then obviously you want to focus on probably the parrying over catching, because those seem to take each other out. So whichever is the highest, that goalkeeper will tend to do. So he's going to be more of a parrying goalkeeper than one to perhaps catch it unless the ball's in the air. Goalkeeper reach is 74, so pretty decent. And as for his player skills, low punt and long throw. Ivan Perisic. Now, I probably wouldn't recommend this player because his speed's higher than his acceleration, so he's not going to feel all that great in this game. But he, you know, if you're not going to look for dribbling and you are going to use him just to pass the ball in from the wing, then, you know, he's got very good output set, you know, in terms of his lofted passing, his finishing, his curling. So, you know, when he's required to do a job of crossing or shooting, he's going to be fairly decent at it as well. He's got 25 levels of training, decent stamina, and obviously suits the long ball counter style. Plenty of player skills to go along with it, and pinpoint crossing obviously here being the most important. Paul Pogba, a very worthwhile signing here in my opinion. 5 stars, but he's got ball control, he's got tight possession, he's got lofted passing. You know, he can really dictate the play. He has got low balance, so it's going to be relatively easy to win the ball from him. But, you know, with his physical contact at 81, he's going to find winning the ball back relatively easily. The only thing is he's not very versatile. He really only suits that central midfield zone. So, you know, you have to consider who he's going to replace in your side. But he has got one-touch passing, through passing, low lofted pass, aerial superiority, which are all great to have in that central midfield area. And he's very tall as well. Again, great for dealing with those sort of long balls from the goalkeeper. The only thing is his form is inconsistent, so that is something to take into account. Darwin Nunez for Liverpool. Now, I find it hard to recommend this guy. 5 stars, and whilst he is 81 rated, most of his stats, all those points, are in defensive engagement and aggression, which is kind of sad to see, to be honest. He's only got 25 levels of training. His offensive awareness is only 72, and his finishing is only 75. He's got good speed and acceleration. For me, I can't really recommend him. He is a goal poacher. He's got double touch, but beyond that, not a recommended signing in my opinion. This guy from AC Milan, very nice abilities here. He's got 26 levels of training. You've got ball control, you've got dribbling, you've got low passing. You know, I would just recommend boosting the tight possession, the ball control, the dribbling, all in that area. Maybe look to boost his acceleration beyond his speed. I would probably leave his speed at 72 and maybe boost his acceleration to, I don't know, 76, 78, 79 maybe. And I think you'll get a very nice player in terms of the way he feels. Just make sure you boost that balance stat as well. But I'm sure as you boost that acceleration, that stat will join up as well. So one-touch passing, through passing, pinpoint crossing, low lofted passing, an ideal attacking midfielder from AC Milan. And finally, this guy here from Roma. Now, if we look at his stats, he is a right back, so he's got decent speed and acceleration. His low lofted passing is okay, and his curling ability is okay, but he has got 27 levels of training, so you can build him up how you want to. And to be honest, there's not a lot wrong with him. He's got decent stamina. You could do with boosting his balance a little bit. 63 is kind of low, so he's going to be easily muscled off the ball. You know, I would probably focus my points in low lofted passing and curling. And if we just look at his player skills, the one thing he hasn't got, and the reason I cannot recommend him, is he hasn't got pinpoint crossing. So for me, this guy is an easy pass, and I wouldn't perhaps sign him as certainly as an offensive fullback, which he is right now. So that is my review of these players. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Who are you going to sign? Who are you looking to sign? I will probably go with Sterling, I think, as my pick of this pack, along with Kalvin Phillips, but beyond and Nadal over here. I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name wrong, but yeah, any of those three I think are the top picks for me at this pack. Anyway, that is all from me, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for joining me. Look forward to seeing you guys next time. Take care and goodbye.